Back to our top story, where the impeachment inquiry took a drastic turn yesterday after a top U.S. diplomat delivered what House Democrats described as damning and disturbing testimony. Bill Taylor detailed his account of President Trump's dealings with Ukraine, and he said the president wanted to hold up military aid to Ukraine in exchange for the country's commitment to investigate Democrats and a company linked to Joe Biden's son. The White House called the inquiry a coordinated smear campaign and said that there was no quid pro quo on Ukraine. So Nancy Cordes is on Capitol Hill. Nancy, what else did we learn from Taylor's testimony? I mean, his opening statement alone was quite lengthy.
It was, and it was very detailed. He laid out phone calls and meetings and texts and cables in which this strategy to pressure the Ukrainians was discussed, and where the Ukrainians themselves were told what to say to make President Trump happy. Taylor said he found all of this alarming and made it clear that he does believe that there was a quid pro quo aimed at providing personal gain for the president.
Mr. Taylor, what led you to be concerned about a quid pro quo? In nearly 10 hours of testimony, Ambassador Bill Taylor described a secret campaign to pressure Ukraine, using millions in military aid as leverage.
This is my most disturbing day in Congress so far. Very troubling.
He is probably one of the most credible witnesses I've ever seen.
Taylor is a veteran civil servant who was asked to return to his post in Ukraine this summer. According to his 15-page opening statement, he encountered a highly irregular U.S. policymaking effort there, led by Mr. Trump's personal attorney, Rudy Giuliani.
This is not just rogue Rudy Giuliani self-dealing in Ukraine. He's an agent of the president.
Taylor said that by mid-July, it was becoming clear that a meeting the Ukrainian president sought with Mr. Trump was...
All right, let's take a look at these polls. At 28 past the hour, a live look at Washington, D.C. The sun has yet to come up, but over half of Americans say they approve of the House Democrats' impeachment inquiry into President Trump. According to a new Quinnipiac University poll out this morning, 55% of Americans approve of the impeachment inquiry. That's up 4 points since just last week. And that is the highest level in Quinnipiac polling. 43% say they disapprove, down 2. And 48% say they believe President Trump should be impeached and removed from office. Also up 2 points. 46% said they disagreed, down 2. Jonathan Lemire, what do you think?
Well, that's basically now half the country that says the president should be removed. And we're seeing a steady rise in these polls, not just the Quinnipiac, but across the board, including in Fox News and other places where we have seen more and more Americans believe, certainly that at the very least, this inquiry is valid and should be pursued. But then now we're seeing rising numbers of people who think this should be perhaps the end of this presidency. So, Tom, let me get you in on this. What do you think this matters for what do you think these polls matter for perhaps the constituents who matter the most? Republicans, particularly those in Congress, particularly those in the Senate. Are they looking at these numbers? Are they going to start making their own political calculations as the calendar begins to approach 2020?
The interesting thing, of course, is when you look at the national poll and you get about half of the country thinking about impeachment, that's not the Republican base. And what's really clear, in the first segment we asked, where's Pompeo? And, why is the White House going with these kind of stories about radical bureaucrats? They're playing to the base. They think their firewall against impeachment.
Well, as the 2020 election approaches in a year, Democrats reportedly struck with anxiety, with some fearing they have no candidate who can get elected.
Our next guest blames the far-left agenda for turning off voters rather than a candidate. Trump 2020 National Press Secretary Kayleigh McEnany is here to explain. So you think it's not so much they don't have the charisma or resume, it's what they're saying.
Well, I think it's both. I think you've got, low energy Joe Biden, sleepy Joe, but you've also got Elizabeth Warren, who, when you dig into the details of so-called Medicare for All, which is government takeover, new Kaiser Family Foundation poll says when people learn their taxes go up, which they will, 60% oppose it. When they learn it's delays in care, 80% oppose it. People oppose radical socialism. Surprise, surprise. So, yeah, they've got a problem on their hands.
Which candidate do you think is probably the one that will go head-to-head with our president?
I think it will be Elizabeth Warren.
You do?
And it will be a case for socialism against President Trump. Why?
She says she's a capitalist.
She says she's a capitalist, but look at her policies. Government takeover of energy, of health care. And radical socialism will lose versus President Trump's free market policies, 500,000 manufacturing jobs, lowest unemployment on record for blacks and Hispanics. Socialism can't win. It just can't.
But she would have to beat Joe Biden. And there's a new CNN poll that came out this morning, and Joe Biden went up. I think it's his widest margin separating him from the others since April. Joe Biden is at 34%. Elizabeth Warren is at 19%. And Bernie Sanders is at 16%. So Joe Biden still has got it going on.
In that poll, but when you look at his fundraising, in 3 months, Joe Biden raised $15 million. The campaign and the RNC, we did that in 2 days following Nancy Pelosi's impeachment announcement. 2 days, 313,000 new small donors in that time period. Joe Biden's going down. His fundraising just signifies that.
Yeah, but he's the party elders regard him as the most electable because he does not have the far left policies of Elizabeth Warren or Bernie Sanders.
They regard him as electable, but hey, gaffe-prone Joe Biden, he's got the issues with Hunter Biden. We saw yesterday his lynching comments. He continually steps in it. So gaffe after gaffe after gaffe. Can't stand up against President Trump on a debate stage. Sleepy Joe cannot win.
Well, the other thing is Barack Obama is not left enough for this group of Democratic nominees.
No, he's not far left enough. And Joe Biden, we've seen him have to embrace the Green New Deal, embrace health care for illegal immigrants. He's having to leave behind Obama.
Kayleigh, real quick. Bob Iger, Michael Bloomberg, Hillary Clinton, any of these worry the Trump camp?
No, but we encourage Hillary to get back in the race. We would love it. So please do.
There's no way the Democratic Party would support that. We'll see.
No way.
All right. Thank you, Kayleigh.
Thank you.
A shocking scene today on Capitol Hill, one that some Democrats say resembled a mob and the closest thing to, quote, civil unrest that they have ever seen since joining Congress. Congressional Republicans outraged is what they say is a sham impeachment inquiry launched by their colleagues across the aisle, stormed this closed-door deposition in a secure room and disrupted the testimony of the Deputy Assistant Defense Secretary. They claimed that the process and not the actual testimony regarding President Trump and his behavior on Ukraine is the issue.
It should be the people of this country who decide who's going to be the president, not Nancy Pelosi and not Adam Schiff in secret behind closed doors.
The millions of Americans that we represent that want to see this Congress working for them and not obsessed with attacking a president who we believe has not done anything to deserve impeachment.
It is a sham, and it's time for it to end.
What is happening here is not fair.
And it's a total political hit job on the President of the United States.
And folks, it isn't over yet. Those Republicans are still in that secure room, refusing to leave. One Democratic congressman tells CNN that snacks were brought in and they are now eating pizza. So let's go straight to our senior congressional correspondent, Manu Raju. You have been watching all of this unfold. It appears to just be a total political stunt. How are you assessing it?
Yeah, it is completely stalled, the impeachment proceedings that are happening right now. This was supposed to be today where Laura Cooper, the top defense official, was testifying about questions about why that military aid had been withheld. And of course, it's come in the aftermath of that explosive testimony yesterday from the president's top diplomat in Ukraine, who said that the reason why that this was held up, that he was told it was that the president wanted public declaration of investigations into matters that could help his political campaign. That's why that vital national security aid had been held up. Now, earlier this morning, roughly 24 members stormed this committee room, demanded to take part.
He almost fell on top of you there. He fell over, you're like, whoa.
Morning. Morning, everybody. Thanks for joining us. We want to talk about a number of things this morning, but
Staying overseas now to London, where authorities made a grisly discovery overnight, 39 dead bodies in a tractor trailer near the UK capital of London. Julia McFarlane is in that city covering this story. Julia, this is a pretty horrific headline. I understand authorities have a suspect in custody.
Devin, exactly. This was a very disturbing story that started to rise this morning. At the moment, there is a very heavy police presence and a lot of intense forensic activity going on behind this cordoned off area where that truck was found, discovered. As you say, 38 adults found dead inside, one teenager. Now, there is one man in custody. Police say that the driver of the truck has been apprehended, and he is a 25-year-old man from Northern Ireland. And police are also, at the moment, trying to figure out the route that this truck took. They believe that the truck originated in Bulgaria, and that they believe it entered the United Kingdom in Wales. Now, where it is at the moment, in a little area called Grays, which is in Essex, that's east of London. So it is an unusual route that this truck appears to have taken. Now, police have not confirmed this yet, but it's widely expected that the bodies of those inside are believed to have been migrants who've tried to get inside to the UK.
Wow, just a horrible, horrible story. More than 30 people in that truck. And the assumption is they were migrants. They were perhaps being trafficked. Do we know anything more about the identities or where these people originated from?
Police haven't yet. They have said that identifying the bodies is going to be a long and complicated process. We don't know what kind of state they're in. We don't know how they died. We don't know how long they've been inside this truck. So police are working as fast as they can to try and identify who they are, where they came from. But there is the widespread assumption that these people were migrants, because if this truck originated in Bulgaria, that's inside the EU. Now, there are passport checks as soon as you land in the UK from outside of the UK, but it is free movement of people within Europe, and that kind of gives the impression that these people may have come from outside of Europe. Now, just a couple of things have happened recently. Authorities in France have tightened up the border of the British route from France, and border authorities they've tightened up, and so a lot of human smugglers and traffickers have tried different routes of getting in to the UK, and there is a suspicion that this truck, although police have not confirmed this, that it actually came to the UK from Ireland. The port that the truck did enter the UK in is known as a route from Ireland. Police have not yet confirmed that, but that's something that a lot of people understand to have been the case.
This is a terrible story out of London. Julia McFarlane for us in the London Bureau. Thanks so much, Julia.
Thanks, Devin.
Hi, everyone. George Stephanopoulos here. Thanks for checking out the ABC News YouTube channel. If you'd like to get more videos, show highlights, and watch live event coverage, click on the right over here to subscribe to our channel. And don't forget to download the ABC News app for breaking news alerts. Thanks for watching.